If we take a really close look at how Lotso actually ran Sunnyside daycare, it becomes obvious pretty quickly that the place was a complete nightmare for any toy unlucky enough to end up there. In this video, we are going to break down just how horrible this daycare truly was and how it essentially operated as a literal maximum security prison for toys. On the surface, Sunnyside was perfectly disguised as an absolute paradise. It was pitched as the ultimate dream for any toy who had ever felt the heartbreak of being forgotten. The promise was simple but incredibly appealing: you would be played with by kids for generations. You would never have to worry about the dreaded reality of your owner growing up, moving on, and tossing you in a donation box or the trash. But that perfect utopian image was just a clever mask. That is exactly how Lotso wanted the daycare to look to keep new arrivals hopeful, but behind closed doors, he had built a ruthless tyrannical regime specifically designed to break the spirits of incoming toys and exploit them purely for the benefit of his elite inner circle.
We got a way of doing things here at Sunnyside. If you start at the bottom, pay your dues, life here can be a dream come true. But if you break our rules, step out of line, try to check out early, well, you're just hurting yourself.
The absolute worst part of this setup, which was basically a death sentence for any normal toy, was the caterpillar room. Lotso rigged the entire daycare system by strictly segregating the toys based on the age and gentleness of the children. Whenever a fresh batch of toys arrived, they were systematically dumped right into the caterpillar room, which was entirely populated by hyperactive, unpredictable toddlers. Kids at that age simply do not know how to handle toys properly yet. Instead of normal make-believe, they subjected the new arrivals to incredibly violent, messy, and traumatizing playtimes. The toys were constantly getting smashed against the floor, chewed on, covered in paint, and literally ripped apart limb from limb. Meanwhile, Lotso and his trusted cronies kept the peaceful older kids all to themselves over in the much safer butterfly room. By doing this, they ensured their own survival, kept themselves in pristine condition, and stayed completely out of harm's way while the new toys took the brunt of the damage. But as bad as the daytime was, the security of the place was drastically reinforced at night, which is when the real nightmare officially started. Lotso wasn't stupid. He knew perfectly well that once toys experienced the horrific abuse of the caterpillar room, they wouldn't want to stay and would eventually try to make a run for it. To prevent any breakouts, he turned Sunnyside into a full-blown panopticon. Once the sun went down and the real doors locked, he employed a fiercely loyal gang of enforcers to keep everyone in line. His most terrifying asset was the intense cymbal-banging monkey who sat high up in a control tower, staring unblinkingly at banks of real-time security CCTV camera feeds. If that monkey saw even a single sign of unauthorized movement, he would start screeching and violently banging his cymbals to sound the alarm. On top of that flawless surveillance, the entire daycare grounds were heavily patrolled by guards throughout the night. Lotso didn't just rely on locks and bars to keep everyone in line. He heavily weaponized fear, manipulation, and forced compliance to maintain absolute control over the daycare. Whenever a toy stepped out of line, questioned his authority, or made a desperate attempt to escape, the punishment was swift and severe. They would be locked inside the box to face intense psychological torment designed to break them entirely. For the toys that couldn't handle the physical toll, things were even grimmer. The ones who were completely broken beyond repair by the toddlers weren't given any medical attention or fixed up. Instead, they were heartlessly disposed of down the daycare's trash chute. This chute led directly to the dumpster, sending them on a one-way trip to the local landfill where they would face the ultimate terror, the giant garbage incinerator. So, after suffering through the agonizingly rough playtime day after day, any toy that finally broke was simply treated like garbage and thrown away. It was a truly horrific cycle, and the darkest part of it all is why Lotso did it. He treated the new arrivals with such cruelty because he genuinely despised them, a bitterness born from his own tragic past of being accidentally abandoned and then immediately replaced with a brand new toy by his original owner. This abandonment completely warped his worldview, making him believe that all toys were just worthless replaceable plastic.
You're a piece of plastic. You were made to be thrown away. We're all just trash, waiting to be thrown away. That's all a toy is.
He is easily one of the darkest, most deeply psychological villains Pixar has ever created, and honestly, It is highly unlikely we will ever see another antagonist quite like him in the franchise again. Fortunately, this nightmare didn't last forever. By the end of the story, Lotso's tyrannical regime was completely dismantled, and everything at Sunnyside was fixed. Once Ken and Barbie took over leadership, they stripped away the prison-like rules and finally transformed the daycare into the actual paradise it was always meant to be. Under their new fair leadership, the toys established a shift system to share the workload, meaning no one was forced to endure the toddlers for too long, and the terrifying nighttime punishments became a thing of the past.